Okay, I'll record three data structures here. One array, then static array, dynamic array, and stacks. This is going to be really simple. Um, so let's try to understand array first. Array is just a very basic data structure, which is like a collection of objects. If you want to visualize like a real life thing, it's like a box of disks, and like every position in this box there is like a label, like position, like 0 1 2 3 4, and at every position or every slot you can put an item in it, and that's what it looks like in the memory of a computer. When you declare like an array as a data structure, it occupies that much space, and it organizes your data based on index from 0 to whatever size you want, and um, yeah, and you can store values in these slots, and those are usually numbers or whatever it may be. Yeah, it's up to you. There are different kinds of array: static and dynamic. Static means the size is definite. We decide how much long we want or short we want, and there are dynamic arrays which expand if the size is met. And there is other thing called stack. We'll go into that later. Um, So yeah, the when we declare an array, there are key properties, which is a capacity that's defined. So when you're declaring an array, in the init, we would have capacity, which is transferred. We would make like a new array, which is like a list, essentially a list. Uh, we would put the initial values as 0 and have the capacity. We will also have this length variable, which keeps track of how many elements we have. Capacity is how many elements we can have, and length tracks how many elements we have. Insert is very simple. We check if the length is shorter than capacity. If it is, self.length starts with 0. We put in the element, increase the length. If it's not, we say array is full. Remove and same thing. We check if the length is greater than 0. It's a basic condition. And the last element, self.length minus 1. Here's the thing. The counting starts from 0 to n, or the number of elements, but the length starts from 1. So the length, self.length would be the length, but self.length minus 1 will always be the last element. So we are changing the last element to 0, and we are decrementing the length to 1. Very simple. Insert at index. This is interesting. Here's what happens is, first, we check the capacity, like, oh, the length is shorter than capacity, which is cool. And we check if the index is in bound, if it's within length and 0. Self.length, it could have self.length. So we can put the last element. Yeah. So then what we would do is, if we had an array, right? Let's, for instance, if it looked like 2, 4, 6, blah, 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 23, right? Let me put more. Okay. If you are inserting at, let's say, this location, right? We are starting from here. We're starting from here to here, and we're changing to here, and we are putting the next element temp up. So we are making the next value to be equals to the last value. So x plus 1, the next value, and we are decrementing in the way, like we're starting from the back and going to the end. It's not index, it's index minus 1. So essentially, since that's how the loops work, it doesn't count the last element, stops at index, and yeah. So when we go back, if it's the index, right? Like let's say if index is 0, 1, 2, 3, which means that 3 plus 1 means element at 4 would have the value of element at 3, which is what we want. And once we run that loop, if you don't understand this, I would say like write an example in your notebook or something and try to follow it with yeah, with indexing, and this these values would make sense. We are going starting from the end and going to the middle, and we're decrementing with -1. At the end, what we do is at the index, we'll put the new value and increase the length. If all of that doesn't work out, we'll just say array is full. What's that? Yeah. Remove any index. It's very similar. What we would do is we would run the loop from index to the last element, and the value of starting from index would change to the value of element before it, right? Which is again very simple. Um, then we will like, you know, change the last element to 0, and we'll decrement the size. After all the simple coverages, print out the error. This is very simple as well. We run the loop and print every element, and I didn't know this. This is cool. So ends print the element and end it with this. If I is less than self dot length. If I becomes self dot length. Just don't put the comma. So just there to put the comma, and why is that does exist? Just to print anything. Or maybe like new line. I don't know. Oh, that was just static array. The other thing with dynamic array is that we keep the capacity to 2. Um, we don't take in the capacity. We just initialize it with capacity. And if like we are adding an element, and if like the length becomes capacity, we use the resize function, right? And this resize function would double the capacity, uh, make a new array with the new capacity, and they would transfer all the elements from the old array to the new array, and we would then assign the value. Like we would make the original array point to the new array created. And we essentially create the old similar functions, push back, insert, pop back kind of thing, get the element print kind of thing. They're all very basic. It's just kind of inherited, not inherited, I would say like influence from the static array. Stack is one of the very basic things. Stack is like a data structure. If you want to visualize, it's like putting one disk, or well, if you look at your cupboard, like in the kitchen, you're like stack of dishes, right? Like there's plate 1, plate 2, plate 3, or like bowls, like bowl 1, 2, bowl 2, 3. The stacks in data structure in the memory represents and acts in the very same way. When you put something in the stack, the topmost element comes out first, right? And when you put something in a step, it goes at the very top. So that's how it works. So if you want to insert an element, it goes at the very top. So we just append, if it's like an array, we just create an array, like an empty array stack. And if you want to put, you just append it. If you want to remove it, you just pop it. That's it. Yeah, that's the video.